Hi everyone, this is Lori from My File Addiction. Today I'm going to show you how to edit and clean up a font in Silhouette, in the Silhouette program. I have the business edition, but this can be used, the same techniques can be used in the designer edition also. Now, I have never really designed in this program. I've owned it for quite a few years. I help my customers answer some questions and stuff, but as far as designing, this is kind of all new to me, so pardon me if I'm a little bit slow, but this is it's a learning process. I'm learning along with you guys too. So we're going to do something kind of simple here, and then as I get more familiar with the program, I will do some other videos of maybe some more challenging fonts, but we'll start with something simple today. So here I just typed out the word bride, just a basic font, and we're going to want to stone this so we get 2 rows of stones to create this word. So I have various dockers available here, so it's it'll make things a little bit quicker. But you can, I found out you can click on your dockers on the side here, and you can kind of have multiple dockers up. So if that's kind of helpful, a helpful tool for you guys, go ahead and do that. That way you can kind of click around without having to bring up one docker at a time. So here's our rhinestone docker here, and we're gonna click on this word, and we're going to apply some stones to it. So the first thing we want to do is select our stone size. Now, I noticed here, and I'm going to do this a couple different ways. If I select an SS10 stone, and then our spacing is 0.039 inches between each stone. Typically, personally, I don't use that big of a space. Mine is 0.02, so this is almost double of what I use, but you know, you can override and change this amount if you want to. So if we use my spacing today, I'll show you kind of what it's going to look like. So if we select an SS10, and then here is our different rhinestone options and how it's going to lay things. So this one is around the edge, and you'll kind of see that, you know, it doesn't look too bad, but we'll kind of click through these just to kind of see what results we get, and then the best result, you basically are going to pick the best result, and then you kind of work from there. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to back up just a little bit here, because before I do this, I'm going to make a duplicate copy. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make a duplicate copy of this, and I'm going to drag it down here, because what I realized that after you stone something, the wording goes away. So I like to use the wording as a guide, and it helps you kind of create letters. So if you make a duplicate of the same exact design that you're going to stone, you can bring this back up and put it behind your circles. Okay, so let's click on this again, and we still have our stone sizing up here. And you have to go back to this function here, which is, I don't know what this first option is, but so that's the edge. This would be linear fill. So I'm not too thrilled with the way it kind of looks flat on top. I like my stones to lie on the curve of each letter. So that would not be one I would pick. And then this other one, which is what's this one? A radial fill. Okay, so to me, that one kind of looks better than this first option. Let's see. That's that one. And, okay, so I think I'm going to pick this last option. So then what we're going to do is we're going to release rhinestones. And then if we click one of these stones, I notice up here that it's telling me that the circle sizes are 0.149. That's not the size. I use a 0.13 for an SS10 stone. So for me, these circles are bigger than what I would normally work with. Now, people that create designs in this program, if you've realized that your circles are cutting a little bit on the large side, and you've made your own design, that's probably one of the reasons, because for some reason this SS10 stone option, the circles are larger. So if I wanted to get them down to 0.13, I'm going to put this off to the side here for a second, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm always a person, I love to make duplicate copies of everything, because that way if you can go back, it's easier to go back and start from scratch or start to a certain point, and then without having to always redo. So if I decided I wanted to go back to this design, this one worked better, then if I save it and just start with something else, then I can always go back to this design. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the circle size down to an SS8, and I'm going to try to stone this again, and I'm going to release rhinestones. And now when I click on one of these circles, it's 0.131, which is the size that I normally work with. So if I were to design in here, I would pick an SS10, or I'm sorry, the SS8 option versus the SS10. So you can kind of see by putting these, I'm going to change the color of this here. And let's see here, I'm going to group this so this way I can put these two right next to each other. And you can kind of see when you zoom in, there is, whoops, kind of a delayed reaction there here. You can kind of see there is quite a big difference in the size of the circles. So, you know, I don't want to get too far into that, but if you do realize if you're designing in this program and your circles are too big, then you may want to select a smaller circle option. So I'm going to take the bigger one and I'm going to delete it. Okay, so first thing I notice is I'm kind of OCD when it comes to straight lines and getting things as evenly spaced as possible. So I notice here, the first thing I notice is there's a gap here. All of these are not spaced evenly. All of these. The only one that sort of looks perfect is the outside of the E. So for me, I'm going to do quite a bit of cleanup just to kind of get it looking the way I prefer my designs to look. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a straight line here, and I'm going to select it, and then you have a, let's see, okay, no, let's see. So you're going to select the line, and you're going to go up to Objects, go to Align, and then you're going to go down to Space Vertically, and you'll notice all of these are going to respace, and now they're all evenly spaced out. In my program that I work with, I have shortcut keys, so it's a lot faster for me to do that. Maybe, hopefully someday, Silhouette program will create a shortcut key. You can tell what your shortcut keys are by these options over here. that particular one doesn't have any shortcut next to it. So unfortunately, to individually either horizontally respace your stones vertically or horizontally, you're going to have to go back up into this option every single time. So because that is time consuming in itself, what I would suggest is, since we have one line that's automatically respaced and perfect, we can actually duplicate this line. Let's see, I'm going to take this line here and I can delete that. We can actually duplicate this line. You can duplicate it. Here's your replicate Docker, and you can duplicate things either right or left or up or down. So we can create a duplicate of that line, and I can bring it over here and I can line it up, and now I have that one all fixed up. And what I would do here also is, I prefer to have two straight lines. I would select a bunch of these circles here, delete them, select this again. I want to duplicate it to the left. So then I can use my arrow keys to bring that over. Select both of these, drag them to the right here, and that kind of fixes that issue. With the eye, okay, it's a little bit shorter line. You can either kind of copy and paste from one of these lines, or I'm just going to refix this line here. So I'm going to go Object, Align, and I'm going to space it vertically, respace it. Okay. So now I'm going to take this line. I'm actually going to take these also and delete them. Take this, I want to duplicate it to the left, and I will do that. Now the eye, I'm going to, for the top of the eye, the dot, I'm going to copy and paste these, so I'm going to duplicate these to go up, just those four, and now I've recreated the dot. Now, when you start cleaning up some letters, you need to start looking at what letters look similar to other letters. So I know with this R, I can actually take these two lines right here and bring them over here, and it kind of creates a little bit of a shortcut. So I'm going to copy these. I'm going to duplicate it to the left, bring these over, my arrow keys, and now I have the straight line for the R. I'm going to delete these, copy this, bring it down, and I will duplicate this to go down, kind of close in my spacing, and now I've recreated my R. Now the curved letters are the curved letters, or sometimes the inside of these curved letters, is where you're going to want to have something as a guide. This keeps things looking in a circular shape, and it's just maybe a little bit more helpful. So I'm going to select this and make my bride wording a different color, and then I'm going to put this right here, and I'm going to put it behind it. So that would be, let's see, arrange, and I want to send it to the back. Okay, so the next thing we would kind of do is, I kind of zoom in here, and now this is where a lot of your manual moving is going, respacing is going to take place. Nothing is ever going to stone perfectly, because when these stones get laid, they're actually following the two outside lines of the letter. So to me, this is a little bit too big of a gap. Plus, I can see that, these are not all evenly spaced within this range either. So this is where it gets a little time consuming, but I just start selecting circles now, and you can either move each one here, and I just kind of eyeball it a little bit and bring things around here. Those look to be a little bit, the spacing isn't too bad from top to bottom, but we're going to want to have to kind of refill in this gap. So it's kind of, sometimes you have to play with it. Sometimes I'll get all the way to the end and I've got a gap left over like this. Well, that means, what, I gotta respace these again. So it's a little trial and error, and sometimes it's a little too time consuming, but that's how you kind of take your design from being, oh, it looks okay, to wow, this looks really great. So I'm going to just kind of manually move these around, and you might find yourself where you have to add a stone. So I can show you a quick way to do that too. So for this, we're going to need to fill in this gap here. So if you hold down your Alt key and you touch the circle, and you can duplicate it, and you've now added an extra rhinestone. So it's kind of that's a shortcut that allows you to, you can take that, and as long as you let go and unclick, you can lay, quite quickly, instead of doing the duplicate option. So that's kind of a shortcut. Okay, so then this line here, I think I will take these, because they're, oops, and move these over. Oops. Move these over again. And then I'm going to duplicate these. I'm going to make one more row. Okay, so now what I would do is I would select this and this, kind of bring it over, and then I'm going to select these, object, align, and I'm going to do horizontal. It respaces them nicely, and do it again on this line. Object, align, and horizontally. Okay, so now pretty much the E is has been fixed. Let's see with the D here. I typically I would move these around and just kind of reform my D. We'll probably end up adding a circle in here somewhere. Let's see if we can follow the shape, the outside shape of this D, so this just helps keep things a little cleaner looking. And if you bring them in just a little bit too, it helps close in some gaps. Okay, so now we're going to fix the inside up here just a little bit. good. Oops. Kind of a delayed reaction here. Okay, so our last letter here, and to zoom in and out, I found if you hold the Alt key and you use your wheel on your mouse, you can kind of zoom in and out without having to hit your zoom options up here at the top. Okay, so what I would do with these is I would actually delete these. Select this, and I'm gonna duplicate to the right. I'll move these over, and I'm gonna line them up with these here. Okay, so then our outside spacing looks to be pretty good. So I'm only going to worry about respacing the inside ones. Now, you know, I'm going to do this. I can select these, and I'm going to duplicate them down. It's kind of a little bit of a time saver if you can, you know, duplicate and move multiple circles at one time. Then you can just makes it faster than moving one at a time. So this one, I'm gonna probably, you gotta kind of decide whether you're gonna close in the gap just a little bit, make a little bit tighter spacing, or you leave a bigger gap. I usually choose to do the little bit tighter spacing. Sometimes it really doesn't make a huge difference. Okay, so now fix that. I'm going to duplicate. And I notice these are kind of out of alignment here. So I'm going to, let's see, do object, arrange, no, not arrange, align. I'm going to align them to the bottom, and you notice it brought this one down. So now all of these are lined up. So if we select these, I select to duplicate to the bottom. I can move this. I can delete these. I can select these. I can duplicate to the top. Move these down. And we're almost done here. We got one more we have to kind of try to fit in here. So these I could probably, since there's a little bit bigger gap here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over, and I'm going to select this one. And to select multiple circles at one time too, you have to just hold down your shift key. And then I'm going to do object, align, and horizontally, and that respaces all of those. So now it looks a little bit better here. Let's zoom out here. And I'm going to select my original font that I started with. I'm going to move it. And as you can see, it looks, I'll move this over here. It looks much better than what we started out with. So I hope you learned something from this video, and like I said, once I get a little bit more comfortable on doing some functions in this program, so it won't take me quite as long, I'll show you how to use or how to do this with maybe a script style font where, you know, it just doesn't come out as clean. Like I said, this one was pretty simple, so it was just a matter of respacing some stones and, you know, moving a few things around. But I hope you got some tips from this video. Thanks.